Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that I be allowed to complete my remarks, and then the senator from Pennsylvania, Senator Toomey, be allowed to complete his remarks prior to the scheduled roll call vote.
Objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I come to the floor today to talk about what people in Wyoming are seeing every day, and that's rising prices. When they go to the gas station, when they go to the grocery store, they are paying more and more. And every month since Joe Biden took the oath of office, prices have been rising faster than wages. People are feeling the bite in their wallets of these higher prices. In effect, people of all across the country, and certainly in my home state of Wyoming, have suffered a paycheck cut because the money just doesn't go as far. President Biden told us this wouldn't happen. He actually said inflation, he said, was transitory. Well, President Biden may still believe that. Yet after 7 months in a row, it doesn't look transitory to most Americans. And now economists have actually revised their expectations of inflation, and they have revised it in ways that we're going to be paying higher prices for longer periods of time. They revised their expectations about economic growth as well. They revised those downward. Inflation up, economic growth down. On Friday, the Commerce Department said one measure of inflation has actually hit the highest that it's been in 30 years. The company Salesforce now estimates that costs for Christmas shopping will go up by 20 cents for every dollar you would spend on Christmas presents. Now, the store Dollar Tree has announced that it will start selling items which cost more than $1. We have 10 Dollar Tree stores in Wyoming. They're a very important part of our communities. Many people in rural areas rely on dollar stores for their everyday needs. In Joe Biden's economy, these people are getting hurt the most. So why is it happening? Well, it's because the money supply hasn't increased this fast in 75 years. Last year, Congress spent trillions of dollars to respond to the worst pandemic in our nation's history, actually in a century. With a Republican majority in the Senate, we passed 5 relief bills. They were all done in a bipartisan, overwhelming majority vote. Much of the money still hasn't been spent. Then this January, Democrats took over the White House as well as the Senate. They got their hands on the nation's credit card, and they started swiping it. In March, the president signed a $2 trillion spending bill. It was supposed to be about coronavirus. Yet only 9% of the money actually went to public health. They cut Republicans out of the negotiations completely. So much of the new spending went to Democrats' favored groups, to labor unions, union bosses, to bankrupt blue states. They put the bill for all of that spending entirely on the American credit card. The Federal Reserve started printing money, prices started going up. Yet Democrats haven't learned their lesson. They want to keep spending. Now they want to spend more than twice as much money as they had just spent in March. And they're also asking for the largest tax increase in 50 years. Tax increases also raise prices. Last week, the White House press secretary made a statement, and to me it was one of the most irrational statements that some business owners have ever heard. Because she said, it is unfair and absurd for companies to raise prices in response to higher taxes. She said it's absurd and unfair for companies to raise prices in response to higher taxes. Well, it may be unfair, but it certainly is not absurd. It's basic arithmetic. When the government raises taxes, the cost of doing business goes up. Companies then either have to cut costs or increase their revenue. When Democrats raise taxes, it means higher prices, fewer jobs, and in many cases, both. That's why it's alarming that President Biden wants to raise taxes on American energy. Energy prices have already gone up. Oil yesterday was at a 7 or an 8-year high. Natural gas prices have doubled this year. Democrats are now proposing, though, a new fee on natural gas production. According to one estimate, the new fee would cost our economy $9.1 billion, and eliminate 90,000 good-paying American energy jobs. It would also mean higher energy prices for people trying to heat their home, cool their home. Higher energy prices also mean higher grocery prices. It means higher retail prices. It may be unfair, according to the White House press secretary, but it is not absurd, because prices are rising for a reason. They're rising because Democrats spent trillions of dollars that we cannot afford. Democrats need to learn their lesson before it's too late. Stop this rush to more taxes and spending and borrowing. Stop cutting into people's paychecks. American families are feeling the pain. Stop pouring more fuel on this fire of inflation that is raging across the country. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.